like Attila the Hun. I came here to conquer. Lanes bring the beef, I tell them no donker. They wanna play games, I shock them like Blanca. They still rudimentary, I'm tough like Tonka. And let me get this off my chest. I'm hearing going nowhere, so haters take a rest. Ain't nothing handed, just working hard, sweating. You can take that to the bank. I know I did bet.
What's good, everyone? We are back, and I'm pretty sure you've noticed that this is not the drizzle, it's actually Eye of the Storm. And the reason being is because with all this information, there's a discourse that usually comes with it. Before we get into that, as always, show WOC Gaming some love, and of course you can help me out with this video by hitting the like button, subscribing if you haven't, leaving a comment, and of course, sharing with a friend. So without any more delay, let's hop right into it. Everybody knows that with information comes opinions, leaks, sometimes spoilers, and of course you tend to not get the whole story. There's rifts and people start taking opinions as facts, start dropping their opinions as facts, and a lot of times it doesn't work out the way that anybody plans it or had hoped it would go. So my question ahead of time is, how do you feel about today's current landscape and how we get information, and do you think it has affected the community for gaming as a whole for the better or for the worse? I feel like before the huge information age, because, you know, obviously with the internet came the information age, and it was always message boards and unfortunately 4chan and all this other stuff. But we always would have somebody with the leak be like, hey, my dad works at Nintendo, my uncle works at Capcom, my cousin works at Bandai or whatever, right? And somebody would leak something. It could be true, it could be false, it could be partially true. And that was a thing. It's always been around. We would kind of get a video or a promotion from like an E3 or a Tokyo Game Show, and maybe somewhere else occasionally we'd start theory crafting and all that. That has always existed. But what people kind of understood is that this is not the full build yet, right? I feel like nowadays with the way that information is and how people data mine and how people kind of deep fake things sometimes, it tends to become more of a dangerous aspect because of how much it tears the community apart in multiple different directions. You get trial footage, you know, this is not the real thing yet. They always put that disclaimer, something, right? But then people will be like, oh man, this is what the game looks like, but it's not what the game looks like. Or people will be like, oh man, I feel like this is gonna be something like insert bad experience here. And a lot of times people forget that devs tend to get pushed into those situations because nowadays with immediate feedback response, with so much ability to harass the companies through social media and emails and all this other stuff, it kind of puts more pressure on them to push out something that people can feel is a more permanent thing, even if things are still in development. Case in point, you get stuff like the Street Fighter 6 leaks. Some people are happy, some people are sad, some people are confused. I fall into the confused category at certain times because with certain leaks comes certain, I don't know, discrepancies in the story and other things that make no sense. And the sad part is some of the people that are vocalizing their strong opinions on this don't even know or remember what the lore is about certain things. So it makes it hard to believe certain leaks, which means that, okay, if I see something, which thankfully I haven't seen a lot, I know that there's a bunch of stuff floating around, but I have to take it with a grain of salt. And that's how I've done it with movies and games. It's like I go in there with no expectation, or if I find something out, I always think, okay, I gotta see what the actual reasoning behind it is before I make my actual feedback, because sometimes it does ruin things. And sure, it's not always the dev's fault entirely, it's not always the community's fault entirely, but I do feel that with all of this way that we get information, we want things way too instantaneously. And again, I feel like it does tend to make or break a game's release, whether or not there's justification, because we have all this information and we have people digging too hard and coming up with their own ideas instead of waiting to see what the actual truth of the matter is. That's kind of my feelings on it, honestly. It's just, I don't personally care for the leak culture when it comes to people coming up with their own ideas as opposed to anything that's hard evidence and solid. If it's like, oh man, this image, all right, it is what it is. But when y'all start spreading misinformation, that's a bit of a problem. But that's just me. It's some of the things that I've seen. Tell me what you guys feel about it, and be honest. You know, it's not a good discussion unless people are honest, and just be a little respectful. The only other thing is we finally got the new poster information for Burn to Fight. The first week for PSN was insane, and it's only going to get crazier. This coming week is going to be on PC, and there are more announcements coming soon, so keep your eyes peeled. But that should be it, and as I always say, be safe, take care of each other, press buttons, and catch you on the flip side.
Guess I'ma have to turn my hat back. That's that throwback. Know that. Smoking the bottle, last catch him, yeah, the whole pack. Black cat, crazy with my tool in a clap bag. Old school, even JoJo know where I got that.